This is Steve Colano, and this is Confidential Remarks. Today, a tier of high-volume real estate agents is pulling off something that breaks traditional math, moving 300 to 500 homes in a single month. Map out the physical logistics of that, and the timeline falls apart. There are simply not enough hours in a 30-day window to manually market that many properties, manage the paperwork, or personally contact enough buyers within a single human network. It is easy to point to artificial intelligence and assume an algorithm is doing all the heavy lifting. But code alone cannot close a physical real estate transaction. What actually drives this volume is a specific type of connection. A modern agent plugs their listing into a vast, highly evolved digital distribution ecosystem. Within this network, a very rigid economic law takes over. Digital exposure directly creates financial opportunity. The wider the broadcast, the faster the sale. To understand how this ecosystem achieves such extreme scale today, we have to look past the modern interface and reverse engineer the 140-year-old architecture hiding underneath it. At the top layer, the 2020s tech stack runs on application programming interfaces, or APIs, combined with AI analytics. These tools automate the heavy lifting of syndication. When an agent hits submit today, that single property listing propagates through an enormous national digital ecosystem in seconds. That instant national speed was built on the infrastructure of the 2010s. The decade saw the rise of national property portals and mobile search, putting listings in the pockets of nearly every active buyer. But the turning point happened a decade earlier in the 2000s. For the first time, property data moved out of private brokerage binders and into public view. This was powered by Internet Data Exchange, or IDX. It established a technical bridge that standardized back-office database records and routed that inventory directly to browsers on the early web. By putting the listings directly in front of the buyers, this specific pivot took a historically localized marketing effort and stretched it across a global digital net. Before that global broadcast could happen, the data had to be digitized in the first place. Throughout the 1980s and 90s, early personal computers and primitive databases laid the initial digital tracks. These machines were bulky and offline, but they dramatically increased the speed at which local brokers could exchange information with one another. And those early computers were adopted to manage a system that had already physically exploded. From the 1950s through the 1970s, post-war housing demand created massive new suburban tracts. To keep up with this physical expansion, organized cooperative listing networks, groups of agents agreeing to pool their properties, began spreading widely across the entire real estate industry. If we drop below the suburban boom, below the computers and the algorithms, we hit the absolute bedrock layer. San Diego in 1885. A group of local brokers sat down and made a very simple agreement. They would share their handwritten listings with each other. By cooperating, a property could reach potential buyers far outside any single broker's personal network. It was the first multiple listing service, or MLS, and it proves that the engine driving modern real estate is not inherently digital. It is a brilliant structural framework for human cooperation. There is a persistent myth in the tech sector that old analog systems are destined to be entirely replaced by new software. But the multiple listing service defied obsolescence. Instead of being dismantled by the internet, the system absorbed it, scaling the reach of every listing through a global digital layer. Look at the scale of the change. On one side, you have paper agreements passed by hand in 1885. On the other, automated syndication, blasting a listing to thousands of digital endpoints instantly in 2026. Yet if you map the interactions, the underlying logical architecture of both systems is exactly identical. Over 140 years, the medium shifted from handwritten ledgers to automated syndication, yet the operational law remained. Exposure creates opportunity. Today's massive scale is not a modern tech anomaly. It is simply an ingenious 19th century cooperative idea executing relentlessly at the speed of light. This has been Confidential Remarks.